Have you ever heard a story where children dream the same dream, and the dream begins to control their lives? This is what happened next. That night, after the serpent vanished from the hunter's hut, the whole compound fell silent. But silence does not always mean peace. The hunter lay awake, staring at the roof of his hut. He held his children close to his chest, afraid that if he closed his eyes, the river would come and steal them away. But the children were not sleeping peacefully. Their little bodies tossed and turned on the raffia mat. Sweat covered their foreheads. The boy dreamed he was standing in the middle of the river. His feet touched the water, but he did not sink. Instead, the water moved around him, circling him like it obeyed his command. His eyes glowed bright gold, and wherever he lifted his hands, the water rose to follow. The girl dreamed differently. She was kneeling at the edge of the river, speaking to the fish. They swam close, their mouths opening and closing as if they could hear her. And then they spoke back, their voices soft but clear. "We know you," they said. "You belong here." Both children woke up in the middle of the night, gasping loudly. For a moment, their eyes glowed faintly golden before returning to normal. Their father sat up quickly, holding them tighter. "My children, what is it?" he whispered. But they said nothing. They only looked at each other, because they both knew the truth: the river was calling them. At dawn, the children followed other village kids to fetch water. They carried clay pots on their heads and laughed along the narrow forest path. But inside their hearts, they felt heavy, because the voice of the river whispered louder than the laughter. When they reached the stream, the others bent down to fill their pots, but the boy and girl stood still. The stream shimmered strangely, brighter than before. The boy's clay pot slipped from his hands and broke on the ground. His sister touched his arm, her voice trembling. "Brother, do you hear it?" "Yes," he said softly. "It is calling our names." The others laughed, thinking they were playing. But suddenly, the water rippled without a stone being thrown. A faint hiss echoed across the stream. The boy stepped forward as if drawn by invisible ropes. His sister grabbed him, but instead of pulling him back, she too was pulled forward. When they looked into the water, their reflections no longer looked like them. Their eyes glowed like gold, their cheeks glimmered with scales. Their faces were half human, half serpent. They screamed, stumbling backward. The deep voice followed, "You cannot run. You belong to us." They dropped their pots and ran. Their bare feet pounded the ground as they rushed home, fear chasing them. When they burst into the hut, their father saw their pale faces and trembling hands. He did not need to ask. He already knew, the river had found them again. The children could no longer hide the truth from their father. Their trembling bodies and golden eyes in the night had already told him what he feared most. The blood of the serpent was strong in them. The hunter sat in silence, staring at the broken pieces of his spear. His heart was heavy. "How can I fight a river?" he thought. "How can I protect them from blood that is already inside them?" The next morning, he told the children not to go to the stream. But the river's call was stronger than his warning. By afternoon, their ears were filled with whispers only they could hear. "Come to us, you belong here, the river waits." The boy tried to block his ears, but the whispers grew louder. The girl clutched her chest. "Papa will not understand. The river, it is pulling us." At sunset, when the sky glowed orange, they sneaked away. Step by step, they followed the voice until they reached the riverbank. The water shimmered as if the sun had sunk into it. The boy knelt down first. He touched the surface, and the ripples formed words, "Welcome, child." The girl gasped. She saw faces in the water, not human faces, but serpent eyes watching from beneath. "Brother," she whispered, "they are waiting for us." The boy nodded, as if he had no choice. Slowly, they stepped deeper, the water rising around their legs. But just as they moved further, a loud crack broke the silence. Their father had followed them. He rushed from the bushes, shouting, "Stop! Do not take another step." The children froze, torn between two worlds. The river called, but their father's voice shook their hearts. The boy whispered, "Papa, I cannot stop. The river, it wants us." The hunter's face was full of pain. He raised his hand. "Children, listen to me. If you take one more step." But before he could finish, the river erupted with light. The surface bubbled violently, and the serpent's hiss filled the air. The girl screamed, "Papa!" And right here, dear listener, before we see what rises from the water, let me remind you, if you are enjoying this story, don't just watch silently. Subscribe now, so you don't miss what happens next. Because what comes out of the river will shock you more than anything you have heard so far. The water swirled faster, forming a whirlpool. A huge shadow moved beneath. The hunter raised his broken spear, holding it tight, though it was useless against what was coming. And then, a golden eye broke the surface. The golden eye stared at them from the surface of the river. It glowed brighter than the moon, sending shivers through the air. The children could not move. Their bodies felt heavy, as if invisible chains bound them to the water. The hunter raised his broken spear, his voice shaking. "Stay away from my children." The water rippled, and slowly the serpent rose higher. His head glistened with dark scales that shimmered like wet stone. His hiss was deep, almost like thunder rolling through the sky. Then, he spoke. "Hunter," the serpent's voice boomed, "you fight what you cannot defeat. The blood of the river is already in them. You cannot take it away." The children gasped. The sound was not only in the air, it was in their minds, echoing inside their heads. The girl clutched her brother's hand. "Do you hear him?" she whispered. "Yes," the boy replied softly. "He is speaking inside me." The serpent's golden eyes turned to them. "My children, do not fear. The river is your home. Here, you will have power beyond men. Here, you will never suffer hunger or pain. Come, and you will know who you truly are." The hunter shouted, "They are not yours. They are mine." He stepped forward, standing between the serpent and the children. His hands trembled, but his eyes burned with fire. "Even if I must die, you will not take them." The serpent hissed again. "You are stubborn, hunter. But even your stubbornness cannot change their blood. Look at them." The children stared at their reflections in the water. Once again, their reflections changed. Their eyes glowed golden, their faces shining with faint scales. Their hearts beat faster. A strange pull grew inside them, half fear, half longing. The boy whispered, "Papa, what if he is right? What if we do belong to him?" The hunter's heart broke at those words. He turned and held them tightly. "No, my children. You belong to me. You belong to this land, not to the serpent." But before he could speak more, the water around them began to swirl violently. The serpent's coils shifted beneath the surface, sending waves crashing onto the shore. The girl cried, "Papa! He is pulling us in." The hunter dug his feet into the mud, gripping their hands tightly. "You will not take them," he roared. But the pull grew stronger. Step by step, the children were dragged closer to the water. Their father's strength was failing. And then, the serpent lifted his head fully above the surface. His mouth opened, showing sharp fangs that glistened in the fading light. The serpent's fangs glistened as his mouth opened wide, water dripping from them like shining knives. The hiss that came out shook the trees, and even the ground seemed to tremble. The hunter's heart pounded like a drum. He pulled his children close, shouting, "Do not look at him. Do not listen to him." But the children could not close their ears to the serpent's voice. It thundered inside their heads. "My children, why do you fear me? I am not your enemy. The river is your true home. Leave the weakness of men. Come to the strength of the water." The boy's hands shook. "Papa, he speaks like he knows me." The girl's eyes filled with tears. "Papa, what if we cannot escape him?" The hunter gripped their hands harder. "You can escape. You will escape. Because you are mine, not his." The serpent's golden eyes narrowed. "You are stubborn, hunter. But I will show you the truth." With one swift move, the serpent's tail rose from the water and crashed onto the riverbank, splashing mud and water everywhere. The force threw the hunter and the children to the ground. The boy cried out in pain. The girl screamed, covering her ears as the hissing grew louder. The hunter struggled back to his feet, holding his broken spear. He stood before the serpent again, though his body shook. "I will fight you with my last breath." The serpent hissed, his voice rumbling. "Then you will die with your last breath." He struck again, his massive body crashing against the bank. The ground split, water spraying into the air. The hunter barely managed to push the children out of the way. But the river pulled at them stronger now, dragging their feet toward the water. The boy's eyes glowed faintly, and for a moment, he did not resist. His sister cried, "Brother, fight it." She clutched his hand, pulling him back. The serpent lowered his head close to them. His eyes glowed brighter than ever. "Look at yourselves. Look at your reflection and see who you are." The children turned unwillingly to the water. Their reflections were no longer half serpent, they were fully serpent. Golden eyes, sharp fangs, shimmering scales. The boy stumbled, whispering, "Papa, we are not like you." The hunter's heart shattered, but he shouted through his tears, "You are mine. Even if the river claims you, you are still my children." The serpent hissed again, louder than before. The water erupted into a whirlpool, rising higher and higher. The children screamed as the pool became unbearable. The hunter wrapped his arms around them both, refusing to let go. His feet slid toward the water, but he dug his fingers into the muddy ground. And then, the serpent lunged forward. The serpent lunged forward with terrifying speed. His jaws opened wide, sharp fangs gleaming, water spraying in every direction. The hunter tightened his grip on the children and rolled across the muddy ground just as the jaws snapped shut where they had been standing. The sound was like wood breaking, loud and frightening. The ground shook as the serpent's head slammed into the bank. Trees bent and leaves scattered. The hunter scrambled to his feet, holding the children close. His broken spear was useless in his hand, yet he raised it anyway. His voice cracked as he shouted, "You will not take them while I live." The serpent's golden eyes narrowed. "Then you will not live long." The massive body shifted, circling them like a coil ready to crush. The air was heavy with mist and the stench of the river. The children clung to their father's wrapper, trembling, their eyes flickering with faint golden light. The serpent lowered his head, hissing, "Why do you fight me, hunter? Do you not see? They are not yours anymore. They are mine." The boy's lips trembled. "Papa. I feel him inside my head." The girl cried, "Papa, I hear his voice." The hunter gritted his teeth. "Do not listen. You are stronger than his lies." But the serpent struck again, his tail sweeping across the ground like a giant whip. The hunter was thrown backward, his children screaming as they fell into the mud. The serpent slithered closer, his coils surrounding them. The hunter pulled himself up slowly, blood on his lip, body weak but spirit unbroken. He spread his arms wide to shield his children. "You will have to go through me first," he said firmly. The serpent hissed so loudly the trees shook. "So be it." He reared back, preparing to strike with his fangs. The hunter's eyes closed for a moment, lips moving in silent prayer. "Chokwu, give me strength." The children cried out, reaching for him. The boy's eyes glowed brighter. The girl's hands shook, glowing faintly as if light was trapped inside her skin. The serpent lunged forward again, fangs flashing. And then, something strange happened. The broken spear in the hunter's hand began to glow faintly. The wood shimmered, and the jagged tip burned like fire. The hunter opened his eyes in shock. The serpent froze for a moment, his hiss turning into a low growl. The hunter gripped the glowing spear tightly, his body trembling. He knew this was no ordinary weapon anymore. But would it be enough to stop the river's king? The serpent hissed, his fangs dripping with water that steamed like poison. His golden eyes locked on the hunter, daring him to stand firm. The hunter's broken spear burned brighter, the fire at its tip flickering as if alive. He had no idea where the power came from, but deep in his spirit, he knew it was not ordinary. The children stood behind him, their little bodies trembling. The boy whispered, "Papa, the spear is shining." The girl gasped. "Papa, maybe it is a gift from Chakul." The serpent lowered his head and growled. "That weapon will not save you." With a roar, the serpent lunged forward. The hunter raised the glowing spear with both hands and thrust it toward the serpent's mouth. The tip struck against one of the sharp fangs. There was a blinding flash. Fire clashed with water. Sparks flew into the air as if lightning had struck the river itself. The ground shook. The water bubbled violently. The serpent hissed in pain, pulling back quickly. His golden eyes dimmed for a moment, then flared again with rage. The hunter's hands trembled. His chest rose and fell quickly. He had wounded the serpent, but only slightly. The serpent struck again, his tail whipping forward with terrifying speed. The hunter blocked with the spear, and once again, fire and water clashed. The explosion threw the children backward into the mud. They cried out, scrambling to their feet. The serpent hissed louder. "You cannot win, hunter. Even if you wound me, the river will heal me. Your fight is meaningless." The hunter shouted back, "I will fight until my last breath. I will not let you take them." The boy's golden eyes glowed brighter. He felt something stir inside him, a strange strength that was not his own. He grabbed his sister's hand and whispered, "We must help Papa. If we are part of the river, then maybe we can use it against him." The girl nodded fearfully, but her heart was strong. They stepped forward together, their little hands glowing faintly. The serpent paused, staring at them. "Yes, my children, you are awakening. Come to me, and your power will be complete." The hunter looked back in shock. "No. Do not listen to him." He gripped the spear tighter, but fear filled his heart. What if the serpent was right? What if the children carried power that belonged to the river? The water around them swirled into a whirlpool. The serpent's body rose higher, towering above the trees. The hunter lifted his spear, fire blazing brighter. The children's eyes glowed like two burning lamps. The serpent hissed in triumph. And then, the water exploded upward, and a massive wave crashed toward them. The wave rose high like a wall of water, taller than the tallest palm trees. It roared as it bent forward, ready to swallow the hunter and his children. The hunter shouted, "Hold on to me." He wrapped his arms around the boy and girl, gripping the glowing spear tightly. He closed his eyes, ready for the water to crush them. But something unexpected happened. The children's eyes burned brighter than ever before. The boy lifted his hand, and the girl did the same. Their small voices rose together, though they did not plan it. "Stop." The wave froze in midair. The water hung above them, trembling but not falling. Mist swirled around like clouds, sparkling with faint light. The hunter opened his eyes in shock. He turned to his children, his mouth wide open. What have you done?" The serpent hissed furiously. Yes, my children. You see now? The river obeys you. You are mine." The boy's hands shook. "Papa, it listens to us." The girl cried softly. "But I don't want to belong to him." The hunter's heart beat fast. "Then use it to fight him. You are my children, not his." The serpent roared, striking the ground with his tail. Do not listen to him. The river is your blood. The river is your power. The river is your home. The water above them began to move again, twisting into shapes. The children screamed, holding tighter to each other. The hunter raised his glowing spear and shouted, "Choku gave you strength, not the serpent. Use it for good." The children closed their eyes. Their bodies glowed brighter. The boy pushed forward with both hands, and the wave broke apart, crashing harmlessly to the sides of the riverbank. The ground shook, trees bent, and water sprayed everywhere, but the family was safe. The serpent's eyes blazed with anger. He hissed louder than ever. "You dare to use my gift against me." The girl's voice shook but was brave. "It is not your gift, it is ours." The serpent coiled tighter, circling them like a cage. His head lowered until his golden eyes were level with theirs. "Then you have chosen war against your own blood." The hunter raised the glowing spear again, fire blazing hotter at its tip. His children stood beside him, their eyes glowing like flames. And then, the serpent lunged again, his body striking from all sides at once. The serpent's body struck from every side. His coils slammed the ground, sending mud and water flying like rain. Trees snapped like twigs under his force. The hunter gripped his spear, his knuckles white, while his children clung to him, their bodies glowing faintly in the mist. The serpent's hiss shook the night. "You dare fight me with my own blood? You are foolish, hunter. They cannot escape what they are." The hunter roared back, "They are mine. Even if I die, I will never give them to you." The serpent lunged forward. His fangs missed the hunter by a hair, sinking into the mud. The ground hissed and steamed as if poisoned. The hunter roared aside, pulling the children with him. His glowing spear slashed at the serpent's scales, leaving a burning mark. The serpent screamed in pain. His golden eyes blazed with rage. "You will suffer for this." The boy felt a strange strength rising in his chest. His golden eyes flashed brighter. "Papa, I can help you." The girl nodded, clutching his hand. "We can do it together." The hunter looked at them, fear and hope in his eyes. "No, you are too small. This fight is mine." But the serpent laughed, a terrible sound that echoed across the river. "They are not small. They are mine. Let them show you their true nature." The water rose again, forming smaller serpents that slithered out of the river. Their bodies glowed with faint light as they surrounded the family. The children screamed, holding each other tightly. But instead of running, their glow grew brighter. Their little hands lifted into the air. The small water serpents froze, then shattered into mist. The hunter gasped. "Choku be praised, you have power even against him." The serpent hissed louder. "Yes, power from me. And soon, they will use it to destroy you." The boy's voice shook. "Papa, what if he is right? What if we become like him?" The hunter dropped to his knees and held both of them. His voice cracked. "Listen to me. You are not him. You are my children. Your blood may carry his mark, but your hearts are yours. Use your gift for good, not for evil." The serpent screamed in fury, slamming his tail so hard the earth split. The family tumbled into the crack, sliding closer to the water's edge. The hunter struggled to rise, spear glowing like fire. The children clung to him, their eyes blazing like golden lamps. The serpent reared higher, his shadow covering the entire riverbank. His mouth opened, fangs ready to strike. And then, the water beneath them began to swirl, pulling them down. The ground split open, and the family slid toward the raging river. The hunter held his children tightly, his glowing spear clutched in one hand. They tumbled into the water with a great splash. The river swallowed them whole. Darkness surrounded them as they sank deeper and deeper. Strange lights flickered beneath the water, and shadows moved like spirits dancing. The serpent's voice echoed all around them. "You cannot run from me. This is my world. You are mine. The hunter struggled to swim upward, but the current dragged him down. His children clung to him, their eyes glowing brighter. For a moment, he thought they were lost. Then the children raised their hands. The water stilled around them, holding them in place instead of dragging them. The hunter gasped, realizing their power was even greater inside the serpent's domain. From the darkness, the serpent rose. His body was larger than ever, stretching across the river like a living mountain. His golden eyes blazed. You see now, the water obeys them because they are mine, he hissed. The hunter raised his glowing spear. His voice was strong though his body was weak. They may carry your blood, but their hearts are not yours. Choku has given them a choice. The serpent roared, shaking the water. His coils rushed toward them. But before he could strike, the children shouted together, enough. Their glow exploded like sunlight under the river. The water obeyed them, rising into great walls that crashed against the serpent's body. He hissed and thrashed, but the waves pushed him back. The hunter thrust his glowing spear forward. It struck the serpent's chest. Light and fire clashed with water, and the river shook violently. The serpent screamed, his voice filled with rage and pain. His body twisted, coils breaking apart into mist. His golden eyes flickered, dimmed, then vanished into the depths. The river calmed. The hunter and his children floated upward, carried by gentle water until they reached the surface. They crawled onto the riverbank, coughing and gasping. The glowing spear dimmed and became ordinary wood again. The hunter embraced his children tightly, tears streaming down his face. You are safe. You are mine. The river has no power over you. The boy whispered, Papa, are we free now? The hunter looked at the calm water, where no golden eyes stared back. Yes, he said firmly. You are free. The serpent is gone. But deep in his heart, he knew the battle had left its mark. His children carried the blood of the serpent, but they had chosen love over darkness. That choice was their true victory. The river was silent. But the story of that night would be told in Yumuk for generations to come.